Now, survivors of rape and serious sexual assaults are being treated as suspects by the legal system. That's according to the UK's data watchdog.
In a new report, the Information Commissioner urges police and prosecutors to immediately stop collecting what he calls extraordinary amounts of personal information from victims.
Well, we're joined now by John Edwards, who's the Information Commissioner. Good morning to you.
Mm-hmm.
And by Catherine Ariniello, who had her rape complaint dropped by the Crown Prosecution Service just days before the case was due in court. Good morning to you. Should we start with you, Catherine, if that's OK? What did it feel like to go through this, not just what you actually went through as a crime, but also what you went through subsequently in terms of the investigation?
I found that part of the investigation extremely difficult, coming to terms with the fact that all of my personal data was being harvested, not relevant medical information, but in its entirety. And in fact, at that point, that was when I seriously felt like just walking away.
And what sort of information are we talking about and how? Is this your devices?
So, yeah, so my personal phone, even my work mobile phone. So having to explain to work why that's I can't use it. My entire medical records, as I referenced earlier, not relevant stuff. It was a lift and shift of everything. They wanted information from my therapist as well.
And Catherine, I imagine at a time like this, being able to be in touch with people, having your phone with you is incredibly important when you're feeling very vulnerable. And at that point, are you then completely out of touch with everybody because your phone is taken away?
Absolutely, yeah. Your phone, and you can't say for how long. You don't know if it's a week, a month, 6 months. Yeah. And then that raises questions as well. So trying to deal with something discreetly in your life then forces that issue out. And yeah, it's not just inconvenient, it's horrendous to have that contact taken away.
It's been described in this report this morning as being like a digital strip search. That's the language that's being used. Is that how it felt to you? It felt that intrusive?
Absolutely. It was really, really intrusive. And there are things on my medical records that are just personal that you don't want, an investigating officer, potentially even the defence, asking for as well, to be scrutinised. And that's exactly what it is. Everything is scrutinised. And I didn't feel comfortable with that amount of information no longer being under kind of the security of my GP. It's now sitting in a police cabinet somewhere. It's not destroyed. It's still out there.
And that makes you feel, I guess, vulnerable again. And just to be clear, for how long did this go on? How long didn't you have your phone and your laptop and stuff for?
Oh, gosh. Well, they originally, I'd given them a certain amount of information overnight. Then they wanted they kind of swapped around what they needed and when. And my work phone had gone for like over a month.
Really? Then
I'd get that back. And then they wanted it all back again because the CPS were asking for more information. It's not just an inconvenience, it's horrendous. And there's third-party data on there as well. It's not just things that are relevant to the case, it's everything. It's horrendous. It's horrendous.
And you're the victim in all of this, yeah.
John Edwards, Information Commissioner. Why is this data collected in this way, and why is so much taken away from someone who is reporting a crime?
Well, I think it's thoughtlessness, principally. I don't think there's any malice and an abundance of caution. I think there's a desire to kind of pull every possible thread that might come up as a defence. And, we've determined that is excessive, and putting people like Catherine through that kind of experience. And Catherine's experience is repeated many, many times around the country with these disproportionate requests for information. We've called our report "Who's Under Investigation?" because the experience of many survivors of these offences is that they are the ones who are being investigated, not the suspects.
And yet, I suppose if you're thinking about it from the investigation point of view, a lot of victims say that they don't feel that their complaints, their allegations are treated seriously enough. I suppose detectives, the police might say, well, this is us taking it seriously. This is us looking at every digital bit of information, every bit of evidence that might be out there to try to get the truth of this crime.
Yes, well, we've seen evidence of requests for schools for material from 10 years ago. And it's really hard for a victim or for someone in my position to understand what the possible relevance, what's the line that can come from a forged letter justifying an absence given when they were a teenager to an event that happened last Saturday night. It's really hard to imagine. And of course, the point that Catherine makes, which we thought was really important, is that these ill-disciplined requests are going out to third parties, and these are sometimes harming the relationship of trust. So you've got police asking for information from counsellors, from social services, from a whole variety of support people that makes the victim feel re-victimised.
And Catherine, what would have made a difference to you? What would have helped you at the time?
If it was necessary to look at my medical records, I think, or mobile phone records, it was actually a sense of what's relevant and letting me know exactly what they're taking and why. At the moment, it's just everything. And I disagree. I think the CPS are not coming at this with good intentions. I think they're coming at this with looking for any reason that could discredit you as a witness, and therefore they'll no further action your case. And that does make you feel re-victimised and re-traumatised.
And angry?
Absolutely. I'm raging that this is even still being discussed. There was a government rape review where recommendations were put in place. Nothing has changed since I reported 5 years ago, and that makes me really angry.
Catherine, thank you for now. John, thank you.
We do have a statement from the Home Office. They say that we will shortly be launching a public consultation on police requests for personal information, such as medical or education records, to understand more about the problems in this area and to test possible solutions.